Hello, my name is Eyal Segal. I'm the development manager for the Oracle Public Sector Revenue Management self-service product, and today I will be discussing the product architecture. In our discussion, we will cover the product components all the moving parts that make the product. We will see how they fit in the overall system architecture. We will go through an example of what a typical message processing is between the portal through our integration layer into backend system and back. We will talk about the integration with Oracle Policy Automation, and we will explore the security model and talk a little bit about the customization options of the product. To start with, we want to describe all the components that make the product. And the center of everything maybe is the Oracle Web Center Suite family of products. Typically, we use the Oracle Web Center Portal product, which is the foundation of the portal application that is the website that service end users. We also are connected to UCM, which is Oracle Unified Content Management, which is a document management system that is integrated into Oracle Web Center via Oracle Web Center Content Manager. So when we say interact or integrate with UCM, we're doing it using the Oracle Web Center Content component. Another very important part of the product is the Oracle People Process Manager, which is part of the Oracle SOA suite. That is our connection to the outside world. BPO stands for Business Process Execution Language, which is the way to write and describe and streamline business processes using a form of a scripting language. Oracle People Process Manager is a product that implements this BPO standard in service our portal in connection with the outside world. We also use the Oracle Identity Management suite of products for authorization and registration of users. We use the Oracle Identity Manager called OIM for user authentication and registration, and the connection of user registration data and the ability to authenticate that is done through the Oracle Unified Directory OUD component that is integrated into WebLogic, which is the web server that application runs on. We also integrate with Oracle Policy Automation, which is an end-to-end solution for capturing, managing, and deploying document-based policy across multiple channels and processes. We integrate with Oracle Policy Automation, or we call it OPA, in several ways, which we will explore later. We have an internal database that we use to hold and manage admin and metadata that helps us run the website, and that's an Oracle database. There are three other components that I didn't mention, and they're not necessarily core components, but available components. One is official payment corporation integration. That's the integration with Official Payment Corporation, which is a payment consolidator that supports organizations with payment processing. Payment consolidators typically handle accepting and processing payment on behalf of tax agency or other organization, and they deal with all the processes that involves, for example, payment authorization or payment consolidation and payment reconciliation as well. PSRM SS, Public Sector Revenue Management Self-Service, is pre-integrated with OPC, which is a payment vendor consolidator in the U.S. for payment processing. but it has infrastructure to be able to integrate with other payment consolidator in other places, so it doesn't have to be only with the official payment corporation. There are two other items that are kind of in dotted lines here that represent possible integrations that are not included with the product but are supported by the product architecture. One is Oracle Right Now family of products, which is a family of product for customer experience across multiple channels, providing services like chat, co-browse, email management, and many more. Um, the other possible additional integration can be done is with Oracle Human Workflow, which is a component of the Oracle SaaS suite that allows customers to incorporate and manage human intervention in a business process with features like task assignment and routing, managing escalations and deadline, reporting, and more. These integration can be made as part of the implementation project of the product and are not included with the core component, but allows the product to be more flexible and extendable to accommodate the customer business requirements. So now let's look at the product architecture and how all the different pieces fit into the different layers that we have. The first layer is the layer that manages the registration and access to the website. That is where the Oracle Identity Management, OIM, and OUD fits. The second layer is basically the core. This is the layer that runs the website, the portal application. This is the website that serves two communities, the site administrators and the end users that use the website. This is where we will find the integration with Oracle Policy Automation. This is where we will find the connections to Web Center Content, UCM, and this is where we will find a link to the Oracle database that manages the admin and metadata for the website. The next layer is the integration layer. This is where we will find Oracle People Process Manager. This is the layer that connects the portal application to the outside world, typically using web services. The last part of the slide is the external system. This is where we see all the systems that we would connect to. The product comes integrated with Oracle Public Sector Revenue Management, or PSRM, but it also comes as a standalone option that enables it to connect to any revenue management backend system, and this integration will be done through the integration layer through Oracle People Process Manager. Another system external system that we integrate with through the integration layer is the official payment corporation that we touched on in the first slide for payment integration. Now we'll explore each of the layers in a bit more detail. So we'll start with identity and access management. So this layer is based on Oracle Identity Management product. And user registration is based on integration with OIM OUD, as we explained in the first slide. When users access the website, if they're not registered, they can choose to register, and they will be redirected to OIM for the actual registration process. OIM manages the whole registration process in terms of user allocation, password management, and registration process support. The registration process itself is a configurable process and configurable within OIM, and will typically include gathering some data on the user for the allocation of user and password and capturing more information that can be used for other purposes. Registration process can also include an approval process inside OIM if customers choose to configure it, and manual or automatic assignment of roles and group, again done via configuration or customization of OIM. When the registration process is completed, the user allocated through that process is exposed to our application that is running on Oracle WebLogic through use of OUD, Oracle Unified Directory. OUD will be configured in WebLogic as one of the authentication providers, and that will allow our application to be able to authenticate users using that user ID and password. WebLogic support multiple authentication providers, so there is no need to exclusively use OUD or, as the diagram says here, WL, which stands for the WebLogic Native Authentication services. And also, it's possible to configure other identity management product that can be authentication providers in WebLogic. So there's no exclusive need to use OIM for that purpose. The portal application is the core component. This is the website. This is where system administrators and end users will spend the most of the work. And it's built on ADF and Web Center portal technology. ADF is Oracle's Fusion Application Development Framework, and Web Center portal technology extends further this framework for portal application development. This portal application itself, the website, serves both website administrators and end-user communities. The portal itself, as I said in the previous slide, comes pre-integrated with PSRM, but it can be also provided as standalone. So it's built so it can connect to any back-end revenue management system. All the access to the outside world and external resources, whether it's a back-end revenue management system or other things, is typically done using web services. So there's no direct SQL or other similar mechanisms. The website itself is, by a large extent, driven by metadata, which means there are a lot of user interface components or pages that are dynamically created according to metadata and administrative data that is managed in the system. One nice example is the ability to configure tax or business registration forms. And the definition of those in the system will drive how the page that actually displays this form, how it will look and behave. So we can define how many sections and lines and fields, and that data will drive how the actual page will look and behave. Since we're using Web Center portal technology, we take advantage of the integration with Oracle Universal Content Management via Web Center content managers we mentioned in the first slide. That allows us to integrate and allow customers to integrate a lot of external additional content into the website to make it a lot richer and to make it adhere to whatever customer requirements, business requirements there are. The application itself is extendable and customizable based on Web Center portal technology, which means there are a lot of things that you can add to it, and you can customize a great deal of things in the website itself. We will talk about this a bit later in the presentation. And one more important attribute is the portal is built to support multi-language. So a portal can display content and be functional in multiple languages as the user configures. If we look at the diagram itself, we see that the whole portal application is kind of made of a set of portal pages that includes task flows that have data controls. So ADF task flows are modular development components that implement a certain piece of functionality that is used on the portal application. ADF tasks will typically include a visual and data processing component grouped together. In a very simplistic view, the application is typically a set of these task flows put on portal pages that make the whole website. The data controls are basically the links or integration to external resources using various protocols. We typically use data controls to connect to BPL, that's our integration layer, through web service calls, and we also use data control to connect to our internal database for meta and admin data management. Portal pages can include links to UCM. That's where we can include content in the portal itself, and we'll include links to Oracle Policy Automation to display, for example, online interviews, and we'll talk about it a bit later. The integration layer is based on Oracle BPL Process Manager. This is where the connection to the outside world is implemented. This allows us to connect not only to PSRM, but to other systems as well. Oracle BPL Process Manager is part of the Oracle SOA and according to Oracle Application Integration Architecture, AIA. It connects to the portal to other systems. It can be revenue management system, or it can be external systems and resources. For example, Official Payment Corporation for payment processing and other systems. Of course, the product comes integrated with connection to PSRM, but it can connect to other systems, as we said before. One important features of this integration layer is that it allows us to achieve safe delivery of messages, and it supports transformation, translation, and security settings. The safe delivery of messages is achieved through persistent queues that are defined in Oracle BPL Process Manager. There are some web service requests that actually can be done in the product in a synchronous or an asynchronous way. And if it's done in an asynchronous way, then what happens is the request itself generates immediate confirmation back to the user, and then in parallel is processed and sent to the backend system and processed. Also, safe delivery also means that if the target system of a message is not available after a certain number of retries, the request itself will be put on a persistent queue and can be recovered later when the target system becomes available again. Messages can be transformed from one XML representation as used by our portal to other XML representation that might need to be used by the backend system. We will talk a bit more about that in the next slide. There's also security features that allows us to define the security in communicating with the integration layer and the security setting of how the integration layer communicates with other systems, and we will talk about it more when we talk about the security model. If we look at the diagram to see what the BPL Process Manager, this layer, is composed from, then we see that we have several things here. We have SOA composites, which is basically processes that are either responsible for a complete end-to-end process of a message or part of it. So they can call other processes. SOA composites communicate with the outside world via adapters. These are things that connect this layer to others, which can be other databases It can be other document management systems external to our website, and typically the backend system, which are in our case could be PSRM or other revenue management system. These connections are typically done using web services. Also, the integration with the Official Payment Corporation allows Official Payment Corporation to send messages directly to one of the SAW composites for it to be processed in the backend system for payment confirmation. Typically, the message will flow from the website to a SAW composite here, and from that SAW composite to somewhere else, and then all the way back. We have message queues that will keep either messages that are done in an asynchronous way or will use for safe delivery. DVM tables are a set of translation tables that support the need to translate some values of fields in the portal to certain other values in the backend system. So the idea behind that is there could be values displayed on the portal that are different than the actual values that exist in the backend system that the portal connects to. So sometimes there is a need to show something a little bit different on a website than what exists in the backend system. Also, the architecture of this product allows it to connect to several backend systems, and therefore you definitely sometimes want to unify the way things are displayed if the values are taken from several systems. So we'll go through a typical example of if a message processing from the portal application or website through the integration layer to the backend system and all the way back. First of all, when the portal application needs to get something done, or needs to get some information or get something done, typically it will issue some web service for someone to fulfill that need. So web service is basically an XML message that is sent from the portal application to the integration layer, which is Beeple here, a SAW composite inside Beeple. Now the format of that XML message will be predefined, and the product comes with documentation of all the web services that we use in the product through web service definitions. That's what's referred here as WSDL. And the message, when the message gets to Beeple, there could be two things there in that layer. One, the message might need to be transformed to a different XML layout that the backend system knows to respond to. If it's PSRM, then it will be the same color, yellow, which means the same format as the portal application requests. So there is no transformation that's actually needed. But since we also can connect to other backend systems, they may have other structure that they can respond to, and this is where the transformation will occur. So the yellow will become red, and the red message will now go to the backend system and will be processed there. One more thing that happens at the Beeple layer is the transformation of values as needed from values between the portal application and the backend system. That's done through the DVM tables that we mentioned in the previous slide. So the message goes all the way back, go the way to the backend system, and then when the message is processed and the response is generated, the response will travel all the way back, going through the same stages but the other way around. So there will be translation of values if needed, and then transformation of messages if needed. So that's a typical way how these three layers kind of communicate with each other. We mentioned before that product is integrated with Oracle Policy Automation, and it's done in two ways. One, Oracle Policy Automation allows you to run online interviews. So it's basically a sort of scripting scripted, interviews that ask questions and gather information from the user, and then has a conclusion at the end. It could be a recommendation, it could be a set of values produced, various things. So we allow our product to connect to OPA to run these interviews. So if we look at the diagram here, we have a page called Tax Assistant that can contain a list of configurable interviews that when the user will select them, they will go and execute this online interview. This online interview can be to find out who should file a tax return, or to verify what filing status I should use when I file a tax form, and there's endless possibilities there. When we actually redirect the user to OPA Web Determination Server, this is where the interview actually runs. It can be either done in a new window, or it can be done in an iframe inside the website itself, and the option to do that is configurable. Another form of integration we have with OPA is web service integration. This is used for forms processing. So when a user fills in a form, there is an option to configure a rule in OPA plus some additional configuration that's required. So the rule can validate the form data before the form is submitted to the backend system. There are many business reasons for that, but from a technical perspective, what happens when the user will press the validate button on the form itself, the whole form data is kind of packaged and sent to OPA, and then the OPA rules that were defined to validate this model will run on that form data, and the result, which could be calculated fields or error messages or both, will be sent back to the portal and displayed on the form page very seamlessly. So this allows tax agencies or other organizations to do a lot of validations of forms up front without doing them in the backend system after the form is submitted. Let's discuss a bit the product security model, and it has a few layers. The first layer is the network security, and the network security typically deals with physical access to the product or the way it's installed, to the physical servers and nodes in the network where the product is installed. This is typically the requirements for that layer, and the implementation is typically done by customers and could include things like firewall settings, database security settings, system administration rights, etc. This is kind of outside the scope of the actual product. This is the environment that the product lives in. The second layer is the identity and access management layer, where if we use OIM, will determine who will get access to the actual website. Now, some of the website may be open to the public, and that's fine, but there's some parts of the website are obviously secured. The parts that deal with the administration and the parts that deal with functionality that only is allowed for registered users. So this layer will take care of registering users, password management, and authentication. And as we said before, this is done using OIM family of products. The third layer is the actual application security. This is based on Web Center. This is where we decide, once user is authenticated, what the user can actually see on the website. Currently, it's done by setting security on a page level. So users can configure using Web Center administration console, which is part of Web Center portal, they can configure what user, whether it's by user ID, group, or role, what user will have access to what page. And in addition to that, the application security includes one more thing, is once a user has an access to certain pages, there are data security settings. So users can only see data that they're allowed to see. This is actually done in the application itself using the enrollment functionality. In a very brief overview, the enrollment functionality allows users to identify themselves, providing some credentials in the portal that are approved by the backend system, and allows them to register to view their tax account information. So basically, only users that identify themselves got access to see their own data. So other users that that were not enrolled cannot see their data or cannot see any data. So you need to enroll to get data access privileges. So that's the last part of the application security. The last part is kind of internal to the application itself, is the web services security. This is where you can define security policies that will govern the message transport between the portal application, the integration, which is BPO, and backend system or external systems. This is done using Oracle Enterprise Manager, and it's based on Oracle Web Service Security Manager, which allows you to define policies that can include simple HTTP tokens, secure socket layer SSL, SAML policies, and more. And these are typically configured according to and by customers as part of the implementation process, according to whatever security requirements are for the particular project. The last part of our presentation will be the ability to customize and extend the application itself. And that includes two parts: the portal customization and the integration layer customization. The portal customization is based on Web Center technology. So there's a lot of customization that can be done to the website itself. You can customize the website page template. You can customize the organization logo image, the background header image, other background. You can customize the look and feel of most of the site using your custom cascading style sheet, CSS, or skinning. You can actually create your own page template if you want to have another one rather than the one that is supplied with the product. There are a lot of pages that are dynamically built, so they are based on metadata, so that obviously allows you to display them according to your requirements. Static pages that includes things like displaying details or many admin screens can be customized as well. You can customize the header, the title on the pages. You can customize labels, and you can customize specific help that is provided with the product, and you can add more components. For example, on your home page, the middle section of the page, customers might want to put organization-specific content. That will be done using UCM that is integrated with the portal for Web Center content. So, for example, in this screenshot, you see there is some image that is put in the home page. That image is taken from UCM, and that doesn't have to be an image. You can put any HTML content that you want there, and you can manage that content externally. That content, by the way, can also be multi-language related, and I'll touch on that in a minute. Some of these customizations are done by setting special external files, and obviously there's documentation provided with the product on how to do that. And a lot of other customization can be done using a tool called Web Center Composer. The Web Center Composer is a Web Center tool that is included with the application and allows customers to make changes to specific pages, among many other things, without changing the base product pages. So the important about all these changes that they are upgradable. So when you upgrade to a new product release, if you did customization to a certain page, those customizations won't go away. They will just kind of overlap the updated page that was provided with the product. In addition, all the textual items or even content that you can include with the website is multi-language support. That means that obviously you can provide names for every textual object that appear on the screen, so the website is fully displayed in other languages as configured. In addition to that, you even have the ability to decide that your home page might include a certain HTML content when it's displayed in English, and a different HTML content possibly in a different language when it's displayed in a different language. So the overall multi-language support is complete. You can add new pages. So the product comes obviously with a set of pages. You can add new pages or hide existing pages, so you can basically morph this website to be to your requirements. That allows you to take this website and either use it as the foundation for the organization website that will be expanded and include other things, or it can be just one component of an existing website. The next part of customization we'll discuss is the integration layer customization. So in order to allow us to connect to other systems and to be able to add existing logic or change provided logic to suit other business requirements, there are a lot of customization options that are allowed in this layer. First of all, you obviously have control on the DVM tables. So you can decide how to translate values for specific fields that need translation in the website, how to translate them to backend system values, and vice versa. That the modification of the DVM changes is done by using a product called SOA Composer, which is a part of the Oracle SOA suite of products. One other thing you can do is you can change the endpoints of the composite. So typically a composite will get a message from the portal system, and then it will send it to some target system. You can change what that target system is. So for example, if we look at the diagram, we can even change it so a SAW Composer will call another SAW Composer as the target system. That allows a lot of flexibility in adding additional logic or manipulating data or even communicating with several systems for one message processing. You can define the transformation of messages from the portal or website format that comes with the product to a different format that your backend system might need. Again, if it's PSRM, there's no real transformation needed, but in this transformation process, we have customization points for pre and post and inside transformation. So you can add some logic to execute and manipulate the message before the transformation occurs. You can add some logic after the transformation occurs, and you can change the logic of the actual transformation itself. And on top of all that, you can build new BPO processes that will replace existing BPO processes and map the and connect them to the portal application so that the portal application calls them instead of existing processes that were provided with the product. That gives you a lot of flexibility. So we've gone through the product architecture, and we talked about the different components, and we talked about how they play a part in the different layers, and we explored each of the layers in a bit more details, and we covered the security model and some customizations options. And that concludes the product architecture presentation. Thank you very much for your time.